Dear students, last class we completed system, surrounding and the boundary. Today we start properties of the systems. So first one, extensive property. So some of the properties of the system will depend on mass or size or amount of substance of the system. We call the properties as extensive properties. When you take volume, volume depends on mass or size of the system. Or entropy, entropy depends on how much substance is there. So we measure the randomness in the system. That's called entropy. So some of the properties of the system will depend on the mass or size or amount of substance in the system. We call them as extensive properties. Many examples are given in our book. Mass, entropy, volume, internal energy, number of moles, heat capacity, so these values of the system will change when mass or size of the system changes. So these are called extensive properties. Second one, intensive property. The properties which will not depend on the mass or size of the system are called intensive properties. To take boiling point. Boiling point of the water will not depend on how much substance is there. You can take 1 ml water or you can take 1 liter of water, whatever it may be. Boiling point of water is 100 degrees Celsius. So some of the properties will not depend on the mass or size or amount of substance of the system. We call them as intensive properties. If we take melting point, the melting point of ice 0 degrees Celsius. You can take 1 kilogram or 1 ton, whatever it may be. Melting point of ice is 0 degrees Celsius. So examples for intensive properties: melting point, boiling point, freezing point, refractive index, surface tension, density, temperature, molar volume, molar mass, molality, mole fraction, specific heat capacity. So many properties are there which will not depend on mass of the system. Okay. So these two are properties of systems. Next, we move into the thermodynamic process. So when we do a process, it makes some changes in the system. Usually, system will change from one state into another state. We call them as initial to final state. So when we do a process, the state of the system will be changed. It is called a thermodynamic process. The process which brings changes in the state of the system is called a thermodynamic process. For example, heating. When we heat ice, it becomes liquid water. We change the state of the system from solid state into liquid state. Or we can cool it. Cooling process. The liquid water is cooled into ice. Liquid state is changed into solid state. So the method of process which brings changes in the state of the system is called thermodynamic process. So along with these common processes like heating, cooling, combustion, vaporization, fusion, so along with these common processes, we are going to study 7 processes. Number 1, reversible process. So this we have already completed in chemical equilibrium lesson. What is a reversible process? To take the formation of ammonia. When nitrogen gas combines with hydrogen gas, it provides ammonia gas. The process is a reversible process. After the formation of ammonia, again we get the reactants nitrogen as well as hydrogen. So after the formation of ammonia, we get the reactants again. So forward process is the formation of ammonia. Reverse process or backward process is the formation of nitrogen and hydrogen. So the chemical reaction becomes a reversible reaction. So the meaning of reversible process is we get initial state again from the final state. So initial state of the system is restored from the final state of the system without making any changes in the thermodynamic properties of the universe. So in the universe there should not be any change in the thermodynamic properties. So we call the process as a reversible process. So this is initial state, this is final state. The initial state is restored from the final state of the system without any change in the thermodynamic properties of the universe. We call the process as thermodynamic process. There are two conditions for thermodynamic process. Number one, it should take place in a slower rate. The process should be a slower process, right? Rate of the reaction should be very low. Second one is between the initial and the final states, or between system and surrounding, there should be an equilibrium. So throughout the process, the system and the surrounding should be in equilibrium with each other. Okay. So universe is made up of a system and surrounding. So first condition, the reversible process should be taking place as a slower process. Second one, the system and surrounding should be in equilibrium throughout the process. So these two are the conditions of reversible process. Second thermodynamic process, irreversible process. This is common one. An important one mark, all the naturally occurring processes are irreversible process, right? The spontaneous naturally occurring process are irreversible in nature. So here, when we mix two substances like this, sodium hydroxide combines with the hydrochloric acid, we get sodium chloride and water. Acid combines with the base, due to neutralization reaction we get salt and water. The reaction is an irreversible reaction. The process is an irreversible one. Once product is formed, we cannot get reactants again. So initial state will not be restored from the final state of the system. The process is called irreversible process. All the naturally occurring processes are irreversible in nature. So here a system and the surrounding will not be in equilibrium each other. Third process, adiabatic process. So consider adiabatic process. During the change in the system, a system may change from one state into another state. So during thermodynamic process, a system will be changed from one state into another state. We say the initial state to final state. During this change in the system, exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding will not take place. So the symbol for heat is Q. Q value will be 0. Exchange of heat between system and the surrounding will be prevented during the change in the system from initial state into final state. So the process is called adiabatic process, and this will be achieved by making the material as or the system as insulated one. So thermally insulating the system, we achieve adiabatic process. Okay. So reversible process in which initial state is restored from the final state. Second one, irreversible process means initial state will not be restored from the final state of the system. Adiabatic process means during the change of the system from initial state to final state, there is no exchange of heat between system and surrounding. You remind all these. Then in adiabatic process, consider work done. Okay. So work is done by the system as well as work is done on the system. Two types of work done is possible. Either the system can do work or work is done on the system. Two type of process. Okay. So when we consider this chalkpress as a system, this may do a work or work is done on this chalkpress. Two types. So work is done by the system in an adiabatic process. Temperature decreases. Okay. One more question. So if work is done by the system in an adiabatic process, temperature of the system will decrease. If work is done on the system during adiabatic process, temperature of the system will increase. So 3 processes we have completed. Fourth one, isothermal process. So during this isothermal process, system will be changed from initial state to final state. So exchange of heat is permitted. Exchange of heat is possible between the system and the surrounding. At the same time, the temperature change will be 0. That means what? During the change of a system from initial state to final state, exchange of heat between system and the surrounding is possible. At the same time, temperature of the system remains constant. There is no change in the temperature of the system. Okay, this is called isothermal process. So in isothermal process, since temperature remains constant, we will do some experiments in thermostat. So in laboratory, we have an instrument, thermostat. So this is the instrument which maintains temperature constant. For example, you are doing a reaction at 65 degrees Celsius means if the experiment is done in the thermostat instrument, temperature will be maintained as 65 degrees Celsius. Okay. So in isothermal process, exchange of heat between the system and the surrounding is possible. At the same time, temperature of the system remains constant. Fifth process, isochoric process. So when a system is changed from initial state to final state, the volume of the system remains constant. Okay. So this is called the isochoric process. Volume of the system remains constant. The process will become as isochoric process. Number 6, isobaric process. So during the change in the system from initial state to final state, pressure of the system remains constant. This is called the isobaric process. Okay. The last one, cyclic process. So in cyclic process, the system will be returned to its original state after completing all the changes. So a system may undergo a change. After completing all the series of changes, the system returns to its original state. We call it as cyclic process. So in cyclic process, internal energy will be constant. Next, enthalpy will be constant. Pressure will be constant. Temperature will be constant. Volume will be constant. So system returns to its original state after completing a series of changes. We call it a cyclic process in which internal energy, enthalpy, pressure, volume, temperature, all these will be constant. So these are all different thermodynamic process. Okay. So we have reversible process, isn't it? First one, reversible process. Initial state is restored from the final state. Second one, irreversible process. Initial state will not be restored from final state. The next one, adiabatic process. So for adiabatic process, what is the condition? Exchange of heat is not possible, right? Next, what is the condition for isothermal process? Temperature will be constant. Isochoric process, volume will be constant. Isobaric process, pressure will be constant. Last one, cyclic process, internal energy, enthalpy, pressure, volume, temperature, all these will be constant. Okay. So with this we complete a thermodynamic process. Next we move into state function. So state function is nothing but a property of the system which will depend on state variables only. So we have a state variables like pressure, volume, temperature, number of moles and so on. So properties which depend on these state variables, it will not depend on the path of the transformation. The system will be changed from one state into another state. When a system is moving from initial state to final state, the property will not depend on the path in which transformation occurs. How this change happens? So state function will not depend on the path of the transformation in the system. It will depend on these state variables only. So state function will have a particular value. Okay. So it is a property of a system with a specific value. It will not depend on the path in which transformation occurs in the state, occurs in the system. Okay, so this is called a state function. What are the examples of state function? Internal energy, enthalpy, free energy, then as usual pressure, volume as well as temperature. So these are called state functions. Next one, path function. So these are the properties of the system which will depend on the path in which transformation occurs. So how a system is changed from initial state to final state. So the property depends on the path. So this is called a path function. Example, work as well as heat. These two are path functions of the system. Okay. So when we consider the work, it will have a different value for a reversible as well as irreversible process. This is one more question. So work and heat are examples of path functions. Next, we move into the internal energy. Internal energy can be denoted as capital E or U. Okay. So mostly we use the symbol capital U. So what is the internal energy of the system? Internal energy means the total energy of all molecules in the system. When we consider any one system, the total energy of all the constituents in the system, all the molecules in the system, is called internal energy. Okay. So how can we calculate it? So when we consider the constituents of a system, there will be different movements in the system. If you take this calcium carbonate, there will be different movements within this. Okay. So based on the physical state, different types of movements are possible in the system. It may be a translation. The movement may be a translational movement, or it may be a rotational movement. It may be a vibrational movement. To take the water molecules, in the liquid water molecules, there will be different movements. There will be rotation as well as stretching, vibration. So different movements are possible. So when we consider water as a system, within the system, different movements and different interactions are possible. Within the molecules, many interactions are there. If you take water, intermolecular hydrogen bonding is there. So that within the system, many movements, interactions are possible. So when we add all the energy of the molecules, we will get total energy. Total energy is nothing but internal energy. So total energy of all the constituents in the system is called what? Internal energy. And how can we calculate the internal energy? Internal energy is the sum of all the possible energy of molecules in the system. So the system may have translational movement. So this is called translational energy, UT, translational energy. Then there will be rotation within the system, rotation of molecules within the system. The energy responsible for the rotation of molecules within the system is called the rotational energy. So UR, rotational energy. Within the system, there will be vibrations in the molecules. So the energy responsible for the vibration of the molecules in the system is called vibrational energy, UV. Then there is a bond between the molecules in the system. So a particular energy is needed for the formation of a bond. So we call them as a bond energy. The energy of a bond or how much energy required to break the bond. We call them as bond dissociation energy. So bond energy. Then there will be electronic energy, UE plus. There will be very weak interactions between the molecules, molecular interactions. So when we consider a system, many movements and interactions are there. Rotational movement, vibrational movement, translational movement, and interactions like van der Waals force of interaction, dipole-dipole interaction, hydrogen bonding. Many molecular interactions are there. Then electronic energy, bond energy. By adding all these, we will get total energy of the molecules of the system, which is called internal energy. So internal energy of the system is equal to the sum of translational energy, rotational energy, vibrational energy, bond energy, electronic energy, as well as energy of molecular interactions. So this is called the internal energy of the system. What is the importance of internal energy? For a system, if internal energy changes, its physical state will be changed. We take a carbon. The element carbon exhibit allotrophism. Right? Carbon exists in different allotropic forms as we studied in 10th. Like graphite, diamond, fullerene. So many allotropes are available for carbon. So this is mainly due to internal energy value. When the internal energy of carbon changes, it will exhibit different allotropic forms. So this is the importance of internal energy. Okay, next one, characteristics of internal energy. 5 points are there. Characteristics of internal energy. First point, internal energy is an extensive property. It is an extensive property, so which depends on mass or size or amount of substance of the system. Okay. Number 2, internal energy is a state function which depends on the state variables like pressure, volume, temperature, number of moles. It will not depend on the path in which transformation occurs. So a system will be changed from initial to final state. The path of transformation will not be considered by internal energy. Okay. Internal energy will not depend on path of transformation in the system. Then how can we calculate change in internal energy? For a system, the change in internal energy delta U can be calculated from the internal energy of initial state of the system and final state of the system. So mathematically we write it as UF minus UI. The change in internal energy, the delta symbol represents change. U, internal energy, delta represents change. So change in internal energy of the system is calculated from the internal energy of the system in its final state minus internal energy of the system in its initial state. So the difference in the internal energy of the system at two different states, final state and initial state, we calculate change in internal energy. Then 4th point, if the internal energy of the system in its final state is less than internal energy of the system in its initial state, that means UF is less than UI, means delta U value will be negative. Isn't it? This is 10, this is 5, means we will get minus 5 as an answer, isn't it? So internal energy of a system in its final state is less than internal energy of the system in its initial state, means change in internal energy value will be negative. Then vice versa. Internal energy of a system in its final state is greater than internal energy of the system in its initial state. Delta U, change in internal energy will be a positive value. So these are the characteristics of internal energy. It is an extensive property, depends on amount of substance of the system. It is a state function. It will not depend on the path in which changes takes place in the system. Internal energy change is calculated from the internal energy of the system in its final state minus internal energy of the system in its initial state. If UF value is less than UI, delta U will be a negative. If UF value is greater than UI, delta U value will be a positive. These are the characteristics of internal energy. So in today's class, we have completed many important concepts. First one, properties of a system. So the properties are extensive property as well as intensive property. Second one, thermodynamic process. Right. So a different thermodynamic process we have completed. What are the different thermodynamic process? Reversible process, irreversible process, adiabatic process, isothermal process, isochoric process, isobaric process, cyclic process. 7 types we have completed. Next one, functions. A function of a system may be a state or path. State function and path function we have completed. Then last one, internal energy of the system. So all these important aspects we have completed, and this thermodynamic lesson is somewhat tough to understand. So revise many times. You just listen the video 2 or 3 times, you can understand. Okay, based on these concepts only we are going to do problems. Okay, so thorough the basic concepts first. Well, with this today's class over, tomorrow we start heat. Okay, thank you.